and welcome back.
Welcome, 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 welcome.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Holy shit, guys.
Hey guys,
What a section, huh?
uh, believe it or not, we have some stuff to talk about with the Reverie.
Believe it or not, there is enough in this six chapter section to talk about for at least a decent chunk of time.
hmm
For those of you reading along, we're going from chapter 903 to the end of chapter 908,
Yep.
which does not sound like a lot,
No, it doesn't sound like a
but
lot
it sure
unless you've
feels
read
like a lot.
this section, in which case,
In which case
you know.
my mind has become frazzled. I have been dumbfounded and perplexed, and I've spent the last day in a state of utter confusion thinking about all the different things that were thrust into my face in this section, and I'm just supposed to accept that those are things now. Uh,
So if you come to these videos for like the deep analysis of the themes of this story or like our reads on certain things that we think Oda's trying to say about like the world. This isn't gonna be that.
yeah, this is going to be a little different from normal. Normally, I like to come into these a little more composed and a little more, having spent a good amount of time thinking about the section and my thoughts on maybe what the themes are and what it's like an allegory for and analysis of certain characters like I keep doing with Brooke. This time is a lot more of it's going to be me bringing up one of our many topics and going, "Hey, what the fuck?" Uh and then,
So we're, we're
going
gonna
from
we're
there
gonna kick
about
into
20 times. So,
a little theory stuff. I'm just gonna be asking Lad basically. So what do you think? What do you think that means? Over and over and over
which is a
again.
question I'm not looking forward to, but here we go, right?
Here we go.
But we start out things relatively tame, which is crazy
Yeah,
considering the
yeah.
first chapter and
Considering
all
the
the things
title
that
of the
happen.
first chapter.
But we start with Chekhov's gun, right?
Chekhov's raid suit.
Chekhov's raid suit. So
Uh,
Sanji was, I guess, gifted by Niji a raid suit when they were making their grand escape.
yeah, slipped it in his pocket.
Um, and
And he does not want to use
he
it.
does not want to use it, much to the despair of Chopper and Luffy, who
And
think it would be
Luffy,
awesome because he would be a
it,
Power Ranger and he could shoot lasers.
which
Um,
objectively they are right.
they are right. It would be cool.
It would be
Um,
so sick.
I think Sanji says something along the lines of, "The only person we need with gimmicks like that is Frankie,"
Yeah,
which I
it's like
think is kind of
it would
funny.
cramp Frankie's style if I was also a
If
guy who shot lasers.
Yeah, but like I said this back in Sabaody. I said that Frankie looks like a Power Rangers villain.
hmm
Sanji could be the Power Ranger, and then we would have two of them, and it would be great. I think.
Right.
I also like that Chopper and Nami get upset at him making fun of the power of science,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
which is fun. I
hmm
mean, you don't introduce that this raid suit exists and that Sanji has it if he's not going to use it at some point.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
I
it's
think
just
it's
it's just going to
I think
happen.
it's quite. It would be foolish if Oda introduced Sanji's raid suit and was like, "No,
and
we're just never
and
ever gonna
and
see you
now
put it
he's
on."
never going to use it because he doesn't want to. So
Yeah.
I don't know. My thinking is there's really sort of one of two directions that the raid suit thing could go. It's
Yep.
either A, he like uses it in a sort of sense of like reclaiming his own self, and like reclaiming that heritage that he has, but using it for something that Zeph would be proud of,
hmm
or it's like a black suit moment where it's this like
Oh,
absolute
it's
desperation,
Spider-Man
like a Spider-Man
putting
black
on
suit kind
Venom.
of moment of like a moment of desperation, and it like brings out something darker, something more akin to the his brothers in him when he's
hmm
using it. Um, I don't know which of those it will be. My assumption is that it will be one or the other, or maybe
Yeah,
both
probably.
eventually, because that's kind of the black suit style storyline
Yeah.
anyway. And also, I mean, we
But
talked about
yeah,
this last time. Nami also just has Zeus, which is crazy.
yeah, she just has Zeus, which is again such a sick power up for a character like Nami to just have, you know, a segment of Big Mom's soul that is now her servant.
Yeah, her servant. And then we get our first bits of updates on the goings on of the world with the news coups bringing in some
Oh
news,
yeah.
thanks to Big News Morgan. And we get
Oh,
Sanji's
I guess
updated bounty which is
I remember at this point in the live read, you mentioned you wanted to bring up your pitch again for the 10th Straw Hat.
yes. However, comma,
Oh, we're gonna get to that
a
later.
little bit later in this chapter, he specifically is going to show up, and I'll have more to
The
talk about when he
man.
actually shows up. So I want to get to this before he actually
Okay, okay.
shows up. Um, as we get updates to Sanji's bounty, which is like a mixed bag for Sanji, because it's higher than Zoro's, but also the picture and the name
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
not exactly what
He
you'd
is
want.
he is now labeled as Vinsmoke Sanji
Minsmoke Sanji,
on the wanted
the
poster,
black
which
leg.
he's not happy about.
No, not at all. But in
But
more despair
also
than Sanji is Monkey
is
D. Luffy,
Luffy
whose bounty has
for
gone
some
all the way
reason.
down to 150 million. The poor guy. Uh,
My favorite. This was a great moment from the live reads as well. Was Lad just said, "Oh no, is he stupid?"
is he stupid? The answer is yes. Luffy is
The answer is
stupid.
yes.
I
Luffy
guess,
can't count.
and it's such a funny bit. I love the. I think it's like Brooke or somebody's like, "What? What happened? Did you do something wrong?" And he's like, "That would make it go up."
Right.
It's so funny.
It's
It's
great.
so funny about Luffy's bounty just being supposedly lower until,
Mhm.
obviously it's revealed that it's gone up to 1.5 billion,
Billion berry.
which I think is that the highest bounty we've been told? Presumably some of the other emperors have bounties higher than that, but
Yeah, yeah. I think that is the highest bounty that we have been like actively shown.
yeah,
I mean,
and
like
then
you
we
can
get this
imply that like Shanks, Whitebeard, obviously
yeah,
Roger would have had higher
higher
bounties, but
bounties, but it's the highest bounty we've been explicitly told about.
mhm.
And then we start to get little snippets all across the world, learning that everybody's excited and anticipating the Reverie, but there's something else that's caught their attention.
Mhm.
Um, and the whole world is witnessing, and we get to these snippets. We get to see Crocodile, who I just know I just can't wait for Crocodile to show up again and be important
Oh yeah.
because I think Crocodile. I mean, I always talk so many times about Crocodile every freaking arc at this point. But I want to know what he's been up
I'll
to.
go out on a not a limb and say from what I know of when Crocodile is going to show back up, you're going to be real happy.
I hope so. My hope is next chapter. I
Yeah,
just I
Crocodile pulls up to
Yeah,
Wano.
Crocodile's gonna pull up to Wano and he's gonna solo Kaido. Trust,
Yeah.
trust, trust.
Trust.
I just think Crocodile's awesome, and I think it's
Mhm.
it's interesting that we see almost exclusively like friends and allies reactions to the news,
Yeah.
with the exception of the Marines and Crocodile. I just think it's interesting that
Mhm.
Crocodile is our only villain hearing the news
Right.
about this notorious pirate who has gathered up 7 pirate crews under him. Uh, is a captain with over 5,000 followers.
Mhm.
Brotherhood with Ace and the number 2 of the revolutionaries forms an impromptu trio with Germa 66, the Sun Pirates, and the Fire Tank Pirates.
So
This
I
mysterious
love Beige. You can tell he's yelling. He's like, it was my fucking
it
plan,
was
man. Hey,
it was
boss.
my plan. should
What the
be me
hell?
should be me at the top of the paper. Um and we have introduced the result is clear. It was clear to all. Straw Hat Luffy was victorious. It was the arrival of the 5th Emperor of the Sea. What? Awesome. So cool. And
Oh my
another
god.
change in like Luffy is a big fucking deal, man.
Mhm.
And it continues to be relevant to this part of the story that Luffy is a big deal.
Right.
And like the world is not looking at other people anymore. Like they're looking at Monkey D. Luffy because he's making waves, whether that's good for the crew or not.
Mhm.
And we see all kinds of reactions. We see how ecstatic all of our friends are. You see Cavendish and Bartow bragging about it. Cavendish presumably because he's trying to make himself look better, and Bartow because he wants to sing the praises of Mr. Luffy.
Right.
You get almost an Eneru face from Karu, and the very upset reaction from Akainu.
Yep.
Suck it, nerd.
Suck it, loser.
Suck it,
You
loser.
suck. We hate that red dog.
I hate that guy. Um, and then I'm gonna move a little bit ahead because we get the reintroduction of a character that continues to impress me and be a character I think about constantly.
Mhm.
and that is Marine HQ Captain, a hero of the Marines, Kobe.
Obi.
Kobe, 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 Kobe.
Kobe.
Kobe, 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 Kobe. I am so, so, so fascinated with Kobe.
Yeah.
I am just, I love seeing his growth. I love seeing
Hmm.
him pursue his dreams. It's cool because it feels like Kobe is the main character of another story that we're not following,
Yeah, 100%.
right? Like he's going through his own shonen story arc on the other side of the world,
Hmm.
and it's awesome.
I would
And
love to have, if like, obviously I don't think that Oda wants to draw One Piece anything related after it's done, but like hand off the story to other artists and give us these little side stories of what was actually going on.
yeah, little side stories of what Kobe was getting up to. The
Yeah.
famous Captain Kobe, the hero who saved civilian lives in the Rocky Port incident, which I don't know
Mm.
anything about, and I don't think is quite as important as many of the other incidents we learn about throughout this arc.
Let me
But
hold.
I
Let me
especially
make sure because
like
I think you might have heard of the Rocky Port incident.
maybe I have, I don't remember. And
I'll
I love
I'll
getting
look
to
it up.
see Kiros calling him tough and thinking that he's,
Oh yeah.
noticing that he's not taking credit for stopping the torpedo.
Mhm.
It's very fun. But Kobe is so interesting. I love that he still needs the glasses to read. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Uh, but this was a topic. So I think last time during the whole cake finale, at some point I mentioned about how I didn't think Carrot would be the 11th, and that I was gonna go into it later. And then I forgot because we talked about so much shit after that that it completely left my mind and it wasn't in my notes. So this time I'm gonna talk about it
Can I one
because
sec?
oh sure.
One sec. You have heard of the Rocky Port incident?
Oh, when did I hear about it? I must have forgotten.
That was the event that Law stole 100 pirate hearts from and then used to become a
Oh,
warlord.
I see. And
Is
so
the
Kobe
first
was
time we
there,
heard
and
of Rocky
Kobe
Port.
is the hero of that incident.
Hmm.
Um, interesting.
Interesting.
Um, but I think I've said this before in previous discussions, and I continue to think this, and so this is sort of my pitch for why I'm not sold on Carrot and why I am sold still on Kobe Nakama as
Hmm.
my theory for the 10th Straw Hat. I
Right.
I continue to be convinced because like before I had talked about how the Straw Hats don't think of themselves as heroes, but they are. And here you
Hmm.
have Kobe denying being a hero even though he is. At
Right.
least he's saved civilians just like the Straw Hats. He's protecting the people of Dressrosa, the kingdom of Dressrosa,
Hmm.
just like Straw Hat. He looks up to Luffy, and then there's the whole thing about like Carrot as the lookout, right?
Right.
Do you
That's what
think
people think Carrot should be.
the lookout? Do you think that Carrot would have caught that torpedo? I'm not so
No.
sure. I don't think she would have. A torpedo a decent distance away from their marine ship that presumably the marine ships have some sort of like transponder snail, responder snail uh like radar system, right? Like a
Hmm.
something like that. But his observation hockey was so good that he caught that from so far away and was able to get there and stop it.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just like, and then that with the alongside the stuff I talked about before about how Blackbeard has an admiral and that I think Kobe is going to make it to admiral, and like the way that he fits into this trifecta with Kuzan and Fujitora, and that he's got this same heroic drive that the Straw Hats do. He's chasing a dream just like the Straw Hats are. And maybe it's just that he's so main character coded in his own little world. But I don't know. I continue to be drawn to Kobe as this potential character who could be the 10th crewmate.
Right.
I do still like Carrot a lot. I just
Hmm.
think that I don't know. As I said with Jinbei, I think we need another character who brings a breath of new air into the crew.
Hmm.
And I think
And I mean,
a former
Marine.
Marine who I think will reach Admiral before joining the crew could certainly bring a fresh air to the Straw Hats.
It also
Um,
it also is worth noting that, as we've mentioned before, Oda did not expect this story to go on as long as it has, and so characters who were introduced early, like second chapter early, like Kobe, are
may have been more important originally to the
yes,
plan and have had to have their arcs and stuff dragged out over a longer period of time.
right.
Um, I'm kind of all in on Kobe. I would like to be, shown another character that is selling me, but for now I am going to continue strong with my theory that Kobe is the 10th Straw Hat.
Hell yeah.
Um, because it just I don't know, it just every new piece of information I learn feels like it clicks Kobe more into place. And maybe I'm just like looking for places to click in and sort of doing a confirmation bias thing, but it just keeps coming up. I don't know.
Right.
That's my thoughts. Uh, and we get some more reactions of other people learning the news. We get the reactions from the other emperors of Kaido, uh, and
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard, and Big Mom, and Shanks, who says, "Looks like we'll be meeting soon, Luffy," which is so sweet.
Aw.
It's so sweet. We'll get to Shanks in a minute, though. We'll get we'll get to Shanks later. But I love that he like at least to me it seems almost like Shanks thinks that he's a great pirate now because he's
Yeah.
saying looks like we'll be meeting soon, or at least that he's almost there. But I
Hmm.
think that Luffy is not quite there yet. I don't think Luffy thinks of himself as that there yet.
Right.
And I think it's less about whether or not Shanks thinks he's ready and more about whether or not Luffy thinks he's ready. So,
Hmm.
but now we have the 1.5 billion berry man sailing off to Wano.
Yup.
And then we get introduced to some more stuff, which is basically this whole section is getting introduced to stuff.
Just to some more stuff.
And we get introduced to Pinkbeard, everybody's favorite character.
Yup.
That's all I have to say about Pinkbeard. Because we get introduced
I mean,
to
we could say that it's interesting that Blackbeard seems to be amassing a sort of armada
of like
in
jobber
the
pirates.
yeah of lesser pirates like Pinkbeard.
Yeah, and that these lesser pirates, at least like Pinkbeard, seem to think that they're like hot shit because they're part of Blackbeard's crew, and that
Hmm.
Blackbeard cares about them at all. Which, as evidenced by the what is said by the revolutionaries, does not appear to be the case. But we
Right.
get introduced to the other four military captains of the revolution. So I'm
Oh
guessing
yeah.
like these four are maybe either on the same level or like a little bit lower than like Sabo, I would guess, because Sabo is second in command, right? So
Right.
then these guys, I'm assuming, are maybe on the level of like Iva or where Kuma was. I don't know
Hmm.
exactly what
I mean,
position Kuma and Iva
they also
hold in the
could be
revolution.
like they could be fairly even, I would say,
Yeah.
because
I imagine the
chief of
revolution is
staff
not as
doesn't
strict about
necessarily
hierarchies.
mean like battle prowess. Sabo is just like the number two of importance.
Yeah,
So like these guys are the military leaders. They could be a, you know,
they could be stronger than Sabo. Although I imagine that Sabo is probably a lot stronger than we even know.
yeah, especially now with the flame
Flame
fruit.
Flame Fruit. I mean, it's not like Sabo was much of a slouch. I mean, he took on Burgess by himself and won,
Yeah,
and he went toe to toe with
and
Fujitora, who's a pretty big deal
he
too.
1v1 a vice admiral. He yeah
One v one an admiral and drew to a stalemate where they were both like, we got better things to do.
yeah.
Defeated Burgess. We get introduced to Morley, uh, Bello Betty, Lindbergh,
Yep.
and Karasu, who are all
Um.
so very out there, very different than
Uh huh.
Oda's normal style for a lot of these characters, I
I
think.
think the one who I'm the most immediately drawn to and interested in is Karasu.
Karasu is one of the ones I'm most interested in, just because he's a character
Uh,
we've seen before,
yeah,
technically.
we've seen him like be those crows that Sabo ran away on from
Yeah, in
Dressrosa.
Dressrosa. So
Um,
I don't know, and his power is so strange because I don't know. Does he like
it's
generate birds? Is he
is it
like
right? Like,
because like
is it the
normal,
crow paramecia?
is it a crow paramecia? Is it like a fruit that is it like the flock fruit? Like maybe he's a flock of birds as opposed to just
Mm,
a bird or something? It's very interesting.
could be it.
Um,
Could also be something with awakening that we don't
that's
fully
true. It
understand
could be
yet.
awakening. It could just be something else entirely.
Yeah.
For all we know, he's maybe not even a devil fruit user, and it's just some crazy science
Yeah,
thing.
he's just
Like it could.
it's like how fucking I guess you haven't watched Naruto, but that's just how Itachi is. Itachi just has a bunch of crows hanging around him.
Yeah, like maybe Karasu just is like that.
Maybe he just feeds the crows and they like him.
But Katasu is really interesting. The one that interests me the most is Bello Betty, just because I think her power is so awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Cause
The
I am
like.
like I am a sucker for character with a flag. And she is a character with a
It's
flag
a
that
funny way to say that, but I know what you mean.
like character with a flag, and she is a character with a flag that uses that flag to like inspire those literally
Mm-hmm.
inspire people to become stronger using her devil fruit, which I just think
Right.
is a really cool visual power set and also like literal power set.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinates me a lot. And it's interesting to me that a power like that is on not the leader of the revolution. That's not like
Yeah.
Dragon's ability. I think is interesting because you would expect a character with a power like that to maybe be. I mean, not that Beto Belly is like a low position
Yeah.
in the.
But I
I mean,
mean.
obviously, but like she's not the head of the revolution, which you'd think with someone who can like physically inspire people would maybe be the
Mm-hmm.
leader. But it is a really cool power set, and also it's cool to see more badass female characters because Oda has not done a lot of that for a long time.
True.
So it's cool to see more of that. And these guys are just interesting. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about them other than that they're cool.
I believe that it is stated somewhere, and I don't exactly know where, so I'll just tell you. I believe that Morley is a um one of the newkama, the Kamabaka.
Okay, I sort of assumed that.
Yeah. Um.
And then is Lindbergh a mink or is he like a Zoan type guy?
I'm pretty sure he's a mink.
I assumed he was a mink because he looks like a mink.
Yeah.
But these four are interesting. I don't have a lot to say about them.
Yeah.
Other than like they have an interesting power set. It's also interesting that like two of their power sets are very confusing because like Lindbergh is like a science guy and Bello Betty we get her devil fruit. But then Karasu and
Yeah.
Morley are just like doing things and we don't know how they work.
Yeah.
Especially with Morley, who does like stuff similar to what Pika can do, but it's obviously not Pika's fruit. So
Yeah.
is it science? Because he's using like a big jetpack with a trident and everything. I don't know. It's very interesting.
Um. But
Just sort of
moving forward
moving
from that,
forward, we get introduced to some world leaders that are all named after different foods.
yeah, we get Abraham Lincoln,
We get
who is
King
King
Hamburger,
Hamburger,
uh,
King Beer, who is the Russian guy.
King Taco.
Yep.
Which is I just like this panel is I can't believe Oda did this, you know?
And I don't know what uh
I don't know what Moralone is. I'm assuming it's a food of some kind.
or is it wine or something?
Maybe
I
it's a
don't
drink. It could be a wine, yeah. That guy's name is Beer, so
know.
but
Well,
it's cool. We get Garp again. Garp is back and he's
yeah, those guys aren't important. We get
those guys aren't
fucking
important. We get Shirahoshi
the
and
Ryugu
the Ryugu
Kingdom
Kingdom
entering to the Reverie for the
entering
first
the Reverie for the
time in
second time, first time in a long, long time.
right, yeah,
In the 200 years they've been in part of the world government. This is only the second
being
appearance they
escorted
have made
by Monkey D. Garp.
by Monkey D. Garp, Luffy's grandfather, Mr. Luffy's grandfather.
Mr. Luffy's grandfather.
And they look so nice. They're dressed. They're just so nice. I like
Yeah.
Shirahoshi's like blue shirt thing she's wearing. It's very cute. And I just think Garp is fun in this section.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that Garp. I don't know. I said this in the live read that I think Garp is. He feels more D like in this section than in any other section we've been to.
Well, he's
Cause like
retired now.
that's true. I guess maybe now that he's not like full on Marine, he gets to be more honest about his like thoughts. Cause there's a
Hmm.
point in here at some point. I'm skipping past Stelly. Um,
Yeah, please do.
but there's at some point where Stelly starts talking all this stuff about the celestial dragons, and Garp's like, "Why would
Hmm.
you want to be one of those scumbags?" And
He's
then
like,
he's
oh
like,
wait, I wasn't
"Oh
supposed to
wait,
say that.
right, I'm not supposed to say that. Don't forget I said that." And he's just like snacking on like potato chips or something
Hmm.
while escorting the royal family from Ryugu Kingdom, which is just really fun. Um,
Yeah.
and it's weird to say, I'm glad Stelly's back.
You know what? Me too, because
Just
Sabo is here.
because Sabo is here, and I think getting the interaction with Stelly and Sabo, there's the bit in this that's also funny, but I'm excited to
Hmm.
see presumably a reaction of Stelly seeing Sabo.
Right.
And also I just want Sabo to like really gut him, give him a like
I
a
just I just want
really good gut
I
punch.
just want to see Stelly suffer.
I just want
Is
to see
that too
Stelly
much to ask
suffer,
for?
and a lot of this section is Stelly like foaming at the mouth and passing out, which is just great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we get the wonderful these wonderful collection of scenes that sort of with Shirahoshi where she's like, oh, look at all these things. She's never been to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she sees the first tree she sees, she's like, is that a forest? And
And
Garp's like,
Garp is like, that
Garp,
is a tree.
nope, that is a tree. A forest is made up of a bunch of those. And so as they're riding up on the gondola and we get this shot of the sun breaking through the clouds, reflecting off of the endless horizon of water and the bubbles floating through the air, and it's just this beautiful, experience for someone like Shirahoshi seeing truly the majesty of the sun for the first time.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
It's what a beautiful world. Um, and it makes me so excited for when eventually, hopefully, she can go on a walk with Luffy on the surface.
Right.
Luffy can't die before then. You understand. And then more stuff. We get introduced to more people. 'Cause we have
So
our
many more people.
our third admiral, who we don't learn the name of, although I think apparently they might say his name in the anime. But the
Maybe.
Green Bull, aka Ryokugyu,
Yeah.
who is still shrouded in mystery, which I think is strange. It's an
Yeah. He's
interesting.
still silhouetted. They're not
He's
showing
still
what he looks like.
silhouetted. He was silhouetted last time we saw him, and from the back, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's still silhouetted, but seems to have some connection to Fujitora. Some sort of like they seem to be old friends.
Something
Is
like
sort of my
that.
impression. And both of them seem to be maybe old friends with Vegapunk as well, which is also interesting.
Hmm.
Because I was under sort of the impression that Fujitora got like drafted into the Marines, right?
Yes.
So I wasn't really expecting him to have much connection to anybody in the Marines or the world government. So that was sort of a surprise for me getting to see that he has connections with this other admiral who I guess we don't really know how he joined the Marines or what kind of relationship he has with the Marines. And
Mm-hmm.
seems to have some connection with Vegapunk as well. But I guess
Right.
we don't know a lot about Fujitora's life before we met him in Dressrosa. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, we know that he blinded himself at some point, and
yeah,
that's
we know
about
that
it.
he blinded himself, and we know that he's here much to the chagrin of Akainu,
Uh-huh.
because the like
He
grunt
he
Marines that tried to stop him, he asked the question, "Is this really a Marine base, though?" And they were
this
like,
the
"Oh, is it a Marine
impenetrable
base?"
brain teaser.
This impenetrable brain teaser, and so they let him in. But he's here because there's a system he means to destroy.
Yup.
And then
It says that
he says, Vegapunk.
he went and saw Vegapunk.
I'm going to see it, but he's got quite a creation on his hands. There's no longer any need for the 7 warlords of the sea. To which
What?
Green Bull says, "Buddy, you're crazy."
Dude, you're so crazy, dude.
What the Okay, I mean, I guess you can ask the question now about, like, what do I think is the deal with this, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess I can ask. So, so lad, what do you think's going on?
um,
What do you think this creation that Vegapunk has made? What do you think? Why do you think Fujitora wants to destroy the warlords? Anything,
um,
any thoughts you have about these two, really?
my thoughts on all of it. So at first I was like, okay, well maybe that Vegapunk has perfected the pacifistas, and so now instead of having one Kuma, we can have 7 Kumas. But if that's
Hmm.
the case, why didn't we just do that a while ago? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they weren't as strong as Kuma before. If they were, strong enough that they would get one-shotted by time skip Luffy, like that's not really
Mhm.
something you can replace Dracula Mihawk with, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I sort of threw that idea out. So I was like, well, maybe he's come up with he's innovated on the pacifista in some way, something more akin to Kuma, something built off of like an actual something.
Mhm.
Because I don't know, I still struggle with why the world government. Because a lot of it comes down to why does the world government need the 7 warlords?
Right.
Because this is a question I've had since like Crocodile was defeated, right?
Uh-huh.
When they were like, well, we need to replace, so there's always 7. Why does there need to be 7?
Hmm.
And if there needs to be 7, why can we replace them or get rid of the seven warlords of the sea? And this is another question that ties in with Luffy being the fifth warlord. Before we had talked about, I think before we started recording these, about the idea of there being like a set number of certain things. You know, there's five elders, there's seven warlords, there's four emperors, there's three
Mhm.
admirals. And I forget what the number was that we didn't have something for. I think it was like six.
I think it
But
was
it's
6.
strange now that there's five emperors and now there's no four. So like, I mean, maybe Luffy's not really an emperor yet.
Well,
Depending on like how you want to consider it. Like maybe there's something more to being an emperor than just
yeah, I mean, yeah,
than just Big News
what
Morgan
is
calling you
being an
one.
emperor?
Like maybe there's something more to that than just Big News Morgan saying you are one.
Right.
Um, But before, previously, and throughout the story, anytime there have been less than seven warlords, the world government, including the Celesti or the five celestial whatevers,
The elders.
the elders, thank you, I always forget what to call them. Um, were like,
Gorose.
we need there to be seven.
Yeah.
And I still don't know why, and even after this and all the crazy new shit we learn, I still don't know why.
Yep.
Um, so I don't know. It has to be something truly meaningful, because like there's part of it is like in Dressrosa we get sort of the impression that the warlords exist so that certain underground dealings and things that the world government wants to have happening can happen without the world government needing to crack down on it. But then why is Mihawk
That felt
there?
more like just a
But that's more
Doflamingo
just
thing.
Doflamingo. I think that's more just to appease Doflamingo, because like that
Hmm.
doesn't explain Mihawk, that doesn't explain Boa or Jinbei,
Right.
you know? Because like
Why does the world government need
this
this like
system.
separate fighting force of pirates?
Yeah, because it's not like that's their only strong fighters. I mean, the admirals are unbelievably powerful, stronger than
Right.
most of the warlords, I would say. I mean, they're
Hmm.
certainly probably stronger than Buggy or Boa or Jinbei or Law, or
Hmm.
at least on par with characters like that. So it's sort of this ever-present question, and this has only raised more questions about a question I already had. Didn't answer any of my questions. It
Did
only
yeah,
added to
a
my
lot of questions
questions.
did not get answered this arc.
No, very few did not get answered. That's just, oh my god, I don't know. And then, like, I think the easiest thing to answer is why does Fujitora want to get rid of the warlord system? And it's because I think he
Hmm.
thinks it's bullshit.
Yeah, probably.
Because, I think that more than any Marine we've seen witness to, except maybe Kobe, Fujitora seems to believe in justice, like actual justice,
Hmm.
not like whatever the government says is justice, or whoever wins is justice, or all the other many
All the other
versions of justice
different
we've seen.
variations of justice that we've seen. Yeah.
Um, so my assumption is that Fujitora thinks that pirates are bad guys and that sanctioned pirates by the government are still bad guys and so they shouldn't exist, is sort of my
Hmm.
thoughts from Fujitora. And I think that's probably informed by his experience in Dressrosa, would be my assumption. Is him
Yeah. Well,
seeing
probably
like,
I would assume it's informed by something beforehand.
I would assume so too, but I assume strengthened by Dressrosa.
Yeah.
And seeing like the way that the government tries to cover up something like Dofi or Crocodile, and
Hmm.
how there are,
What if he was in Alabasta?
I don't know,
What if he's like Alabastan?
I I'm not gonna make that kind
No,
of call.
I'm just spitballing here because
I gotta drink some water.
like you surmised last time, a lot of these questions I also don't know.
Yeah, my assumption during the live read was that there's a lot of these questions that are not answered in Wano and are not answered in Egghead. I guess spoilers, I know what the next two arcs are. Although maybe there's like a small in between those, I don't know.
Who knows?
Uh, so like a lot of these questions are probably questions that people still don't have answers to. So,
Yeah.
I guess you're all here with me. We also get the bit that this Green Bull Ryokugu guy has been fasting for 3 years,
Yeah. What?
but he might chow down if a pretty lady asked him to.
Right.
So strange. What a strange guy. I don't know. I've got nothing. I don't have much to say about
So
him.
much mystery surrounding
I
Green
just
Bull.
it's really strange that Oda is spending so much time making sure we don't know who this guy is, and that makes me want to do the same thing I did last time where I was like, "Oh, well maybe they're related to something we know." But I don't know, I just don't get that vibe from this guy. Does that make any sense? Like I feel like he
Like I get
is
what you're saying.
Like I feel
I
like
totally get it.
with the warlords, it was explicitly like we don't show you the seventh one at all. This guy
Hmm.
we've gotten multiple silhouettes of. We've got like an idea of his personality and what he's like and
Right.
what his deal is, and yet he's still shrouded in mystery, sort of.
So my
It's
what I
very
would
strange.
say is that the only at least logical reason, narrative reason, other than Oda just wanting to be, Oda, would be that maybe something in his design is
Yeah,
significant.
something about his like face that we don't get to see is
Maybe.
significant because we've seen him from the back, so we kind of have an idea of what his hair looks like.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like maybe he's got a tattoo or something on his face that would be important somehow, but I just like I don't know what his deal is. He's very odd. And I'm interested to learn more, as I am about just about everything in this section.
Yeah.
And then we get this fun little bit of Sabo in the armor,
Yeah.
messing with his brother, or his brother in
Yeah,
quotes.
quote
He has
unquote.
he has real brothers. This is not his real
Yeah.
brother. Also,
um
I more importantly than Stelly, I like Shirahoshi saying, "Oh, these must be the famous birds."
I don't
Very
know what
funny.
fucking birds are, man. It's a great bit.
And then we move up into the Holy Land of Marihua. Um,
Yup.
and they
This
see
place that's definitely not awful.
this place that's definitely not awful and where the sidewalks definitely aren't run by slave labor. And they try to get everybody to walk on this automatic sidewalk thing. Um,
Mhm.
and the fishmen are like, you know what? Mm, I don't
I
know.
don't know
I
about
want,
that one.
I don't know about
I
that.
want to
And
walk for myself.
I want to walk for myself. And I love the way that I forget the names of the princes, but I love the way that this prince
This is
doesn't
Fukaboshi.
Fukaboshi, thank you, doesn't make his suspicions apparent to Shirahoshi. I think
Right.
that's really sweet. He's like, let's take a normal walk so you can see the sights, Shirahoshi. But
Hmm.
he's actually like, there is something really
Going
fucking
on.
weird here. Something about this is not right. To which, of course, he's right because there's a unknown amount of slaves under the ground in the darkness being yelled at and whipped, told to rotate
Yeah.
at just the right speed, with one slave thinking, "Someone help me or at least kill me."
Yeah.
Um, hey man, what the fuck, dude? This place sucks.
Yeah.
And like, they could do this without slaves.
True.
We know that that
I
technology
we
exists within the universe, right? Like we've seen tank treads and stuff.
yeah.
You're telling me they can make pacifistas but not a conveyor belt? I don't know, man. It's
It just
like
feels
it's
like they just want to
they
use
want to
slaves.
use slaves, which is worse, even
It's so
worse.
much worse.
It's even worse. I mean, I guess there's no world where you're like, oh, but I just have to use slaves, you know? But like, they are actively choosing to create these things with slave labor as opposed to technology
Yeah.
and science. And I mean, it's just like, what is wrong with the Celestial Dragons? Why are they so fucking fucked, you know? It's crazy. Um, and this little shit stain
Oh yeah.
sees Shirahoshi through the stupid binocular, or the monocular, his little telescope thing. I'll get back to him in a minute. But more importantly, Pangea Castle. Interesting
Yeah.
name choice, Oda. Because Pangea is, I guess the idea or the theory that at one point all of the land masses on Earth were all connected in one place and then they all split apart over millennia, right?
Hmm.
So it's interesting to me that this castle is called Pangea. I
Nah, it's probably
think
not significant at all.
probably not significant. My guess is maybe something to the significance of like all of the countries forming together to create the world government and then splitting apart from there. But maybe it's just that all of the islands all across the four seas and the Grand Line were all one big landmass, and then the fucking Celestial Dragons split it apart or some shit. Like, that's possible, right?
Yeah,
Split it
that
apart
is
and then
possible.
replaced it with the Red Line and then called it Pangea Castle because they're pricks. You know, like that's entirely possible. I'm not sure that that's what I think happened, but it's possible, right?
Hmm.
But I don't think Oda doesn't name something Pangea without it being significant in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And then we just have some fun moments here where we get away from the crazy reveals and theorizing to just see all of our friends meeting each other for the first time, and now they're all friends.
Oh yeah,
Um,
all the moments
of Vivi and Rebecca and
Vivi, yeah.
Shirahoshi and Leo and Kadu and Dalton and everybody meeting each other, and like all these other high royals are all in the other like parts of this thing, and they're all in this one corner holding together like, so do you guys know Mr. Luffy?
Oh, you guys like Luffy? I
You
like
guys, I
Luffy.
love Luffy. Did you see the paper? His bounty's got even bigger. And they're all like, I'm so excited. It's so cute.
It's adorable. I love it.
Especially I just love seeing Vivi again because it's been so long since we've seen
So
Vivi.
long.
It's nice to see a member of the crew doing so well, and the light in her eyes and Kadu protecting her
Yeah.
is great. Um, and just like seeing all these characters, just seeing all my friends interact with my friends is fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And Wapple's here, and I think Wapple is funny. I'll say it. I think
You
Wapple
know
in this
what?
section is funny.
I agree. I think his bit is funnier this time.
I think him being this like evil hippo man that everybody kind of ignores, and then he like huddles into his own little corner. He's like, "Well, you'll see how right I am later."
Hmm.
While he's got
I
this
love
like
that.
baddie on his shoulder, whose whole joke is that she's a gold digger,
Hmm.
with her laugh being gold dig dig
Gold
dig
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 dig.
dig. So funny.
So good.
I love getting to see Wapple get owned by Dalton and Kureha.
Hmm.
Very fun. And
This
getting
arc
just I
kind of
just
just feels like a lot of like almost fan service
yeah, it's a lot of fan
of
service
just
of like look at all my friends and stuff. And now back to crazy shit, right?
yeah, and then
Doflamingo, huh? Doflamingo, the undersea prison impelled down level 6. And they've put Doflamingo in solitary and the level
hmm
6 because he's being protected by Magellan. Or
hmm
at least that's Doflamingo's read on it. I guess we don't know that for sure.
True.
But Doflamingo is under the assumption that Magellan is trying to protect him because somebody, presumably our mysterious character here, uh, has sent some sort of assassin to kill Doflamingo because he knows about Marihua's hidden treasure.
um
Um,
hey hey, what the
hey,
fuck?
what the fuck? Just let the secret out. Power has such a short shelf life. It goes bad very quickly. And then we have our mysterious character cloaked in black with what appears to be a very tall, sharp crown, carrying wanted posters. We see Luffy's, but they're carrying at least one more. I'm guessing maybe Sanji's since it was recently printed, or maybe they've got one of the ones we see later, like Blackbeard's.
Maybe. Who knows?
And they open this vault with a bunch of like cold air. I'm assuming cold air is what it seems to be,
Hmm.
and ice and stuff swooshing out of it. And there is what appears to be a giant straw hat in there, in this vault.
What?
Um, uh,
Oh, I love this shit.
um, so I guess it's time for the question again, isn't it?
Why? What do you think's going on with that battle? Huh?
Um, fucking dude, I don't know.
Big straw hat.
Giant. Why is it a giant?
Emu.
Why is it? And this is emu or imu or eem. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I'm pretty sure it's emu.
This mysterious person, emu.
Hmm.
Why do they have a giant straw hat? Who the hell are they? How long have they been alive? That's a question that I think is worth asking.
Yeah.
Why do they care about Luffy? Why do they? And I want to note later we see they've got a couple different wanted posters and pictures. And the
Hmm.
ones that they have are Luffy and Blackbeard, who are both D's.
Right.
They have Vivi, who is related to the Nefertari Kingdom, which is the one group that did not join the Celestial Dragons, and Shirahoshi, who is
Who is a
Who
weapon?
is Poseidon or Neptune,
Hmm.
whichever one it is. I
Poseidon.
forget every time.
Neptune's the king.
I know. I can't remember. It's too much. There's too much shit going on, man. How am I supposed to do this? And I'll get more into maybe. I guess I don't really have much thoughts on what or who or how I think Emu is, but what is going on with the Straw Hat? Because
Yeah.
it introduces a whole set of questions I never thought I would need to ask. Because I was fully content with the assumption that the Straw Hat started with Roger and then went to Shanks and then went to Luffy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one probably did.
That one probably did, but this is a giant Straw Hat.
Yeah.
I just like, was there, is the Straw Hat a symbol of the D? Question mark? Is this like a prison they've got up here in this vault? Is the secret power tied to the Straw Hat, or is the secret power Emu? I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Could it have something to do with Joy Boy? I'm just bringing him up because he's a character that I know nothing about and is a mysterious figure, and this is a mysterious thing, so maybe two mysterious things are connected to the same mysterious solution?
Maybe.
Why do they have the wanted posters? Why are they bringing the wanted posters to this vault with the Straw Hat? What other wanted poster do they have other than Luffy's? That's a question that I feel could be important, you know? Why do they look like this? Why are they a little paw? Why are they a chess piece? It's just so many fucking
So
questions
many
about this.
whys and no
So
answers.
many whys. I really wish, I wish I could bring some sort of insight to what I think is going on. And maybe after the next, like, what, there's like 200. Oh my god, there's only 200 chapters left? That can't be right. Like around 200, 250 maybe. Maybe by then I'll have some sort of insight on what's going on here that I can retroactively apply and then think further about it and make connections and stuff like I normally would. But at the moment, I'm just like completely lost here.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the experience of most people who read this for the first time.
I think that's probably what Oda wants.
Yeah, I think so. And it breaks my heart knowing that someday in the distant future, there will be people who will get here for the first time and already know what this means.
Right?
That sucks.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy and it sucks. So let's
Hmm.
just keep moving forward because that's not all there is. There's still two
That's
chapters left, baby.
not the craziest shit that
That's
happens.
not the craziest shit that happens. There's
Or I
two
guess
more
maybe not the
fucking
only crazy
chapters.
shit that happens.
It's one of the craziest things that happens. We get a little argument between Big Mom and Kaido where they're both like, no, I'm going to kill Luffy.
Hmm.
No, he pissed me off first. Yeah, but he pissed me off
Uh,
harder.
and apparently they seem to have some sort of relationship from the
Yeah, some sort of
past.
previous relationship. Some sort of, they used to get along. It seems like Kaido
Hmm.
maybe owes Big Mom something.
Yeah.
Um,
What?
and that the Marines are freaking out because Big Mom and Kaido are in communication. But Akainu, it's interesting to me that Akainu says he chooses not to send out Borsalino Kizaru because there's an unknown military force in Wano, the samurai.
Yeah. Well, because Wano is not affiliated with the world government. They don't know what their.
What their deal is. But like even still, wouldn't it be in the Marines' best interest to stop Big Mom and Kaido from teaming up to fight Monkey D. Luffy?
I
So
mean.
I feel like there's got to be something more to the samurai than I'm aware of. They're obviously not just guys with swords, right? Like they're not just normal like what you would think of when you say the word samurai. There's something more to it than that. It's like a title and a position that has some sort of meaning and significance grander than the real world version of a samurai, right?
Hmm.
Um, so grand that it's enough for Sakazuki to say we don't need to step in right now because the samurai exist,
Hmm.
which to me implies that the samurai are holistically not on good terms with Kaido and not just the Kozuki clan, but maybe all the
Hmm.
samurai are part of the Kozuki clan. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just sort of assumed because I mean I had previously assumed way back before Zoe that Kaido was like the ruler of Wano, and now I realize that he's like not.
No.
No, there's a daimyo or like a shogun, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes, the
then
Shogun.
they are ruling alongside Kaido or working in tandem with Kaido, and it seems maybe the samurai are not chill with that. Or maybe some of the samurai are. I don't know. I don't know. But there's got to be something more to the samurai than we've been made aware of.
Yep.
If Sakazuki is putting this much stock in them to the point that they are not willing to go deal with Big Mom
With
and Kaido.
Big Mom and Kaido potentially teaming up.
And also, has Kizaru gotten to be a bigger deal in the 2 years? Because I feel like Kizaru would not have been like, should I go deal with it before?
I mean,
And like
it's
he's a
it's
big
it's hard
deal.
with Kizaru to tell because Kizaru is such a like a lazy
A
dude. Like it's
lazy
hard
dude.
to
He's like maybe
tell.
he's not trying before. But like
Right.
I don't know. I don't get the impression that in pre-time skip he would have been chill and like capable of taking on two emperors at once by himself.
Yeah.
Which is seems to me what he's implying he could go do is should I go deal with them?
Mhm.
Because like I mean all the admirals were in place with Whitebeard and they didn't stop Whitebeard, so
Yeah.
you know. And then we cut to Garp,
Yep.
who's just having a good
Who
time at the pub with his friends. He's laughing and drinking and
he's
eating.
just chilling.
And then
He brings
these
something up.
these two I forget it's Hina and I don't know the name of this other female marine that we have here are
I
like talking
don't.
about Garp and they're like Garp, you know that everybody's freaking out about your grandson, Garp. And Gar's like, what? It's not. I didn't. It's not my fault. Plus the reverie's going on. What can I do? I mean, it's not. It's out of my hands. Because Garp is proud of his boys, even if he's not gonna say
Of
it or
course.
admit it. Um, and they mentioned something about Garp. Speaking of Big Mom and Kaido, isn't the reason you're considered a hero? And then he cuts them off. Oh, you mean rocks? I'd have figured you were too young to know about that, Hina. Before Roger, it was their era. But that was over 40 years ago. Huh?
Huh?
Um,
So much, huh?
I guess it's time for the question again, isn't it?
Hey, what do you think Rox is?
My assumption is that Rox is a person
Okay.
and not a place or event, is my assumption.
Okay.
I am guessing that because of Hina saying, speaking of Big Mom and Kaido, and then he says, oh, you mean Rox,
Mm-hmm.
but he says their era. I don't know. It could be a lot of things. It could be,
So is Rox
is
somehow
Rox like
related to Big Mom and
Big Mom and
Kaido?
Kaido?
Is
Like,
it
is
their
Rock like
era?
I'm trying to think. Is it like there was three emperors of the sea and it was Rox and Big Mom and Kaido, or was there a previously an alliance between Big Mom and Kaido and that was Rox? It could be a place or event. I don't know. My brain wants me to lean towards a pirate because of the
Mm-hmm.
SBS, where somebody's like, could this character be Rox? And Oda's like, ooh, I don't know about that. Do, 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 do. Which maybe is just Oda, like, fucking with him.
Yep.
But I feel like why would Oda even put it in the SBS?
Yeah, he does pick the
Like,
questions.
why would he pick that question if he didn't want people thinking about it like that? Which to me means that he wants people thinking about it like that, which maybe means he's trying to throw us off. Who knows? Um, isn't the reason you're considered a Marine hero? But it's just I don't know. I don't know what the deal is because I had always assumed that Garp was a Marine hero because he brought Roger in.
Right.
I feel like that's the obvious assumption to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess that was never stated explicitly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's a question with no answer, right? Obviously.
Another one.
I'm sure we will learn more eventually about either who or what Rox was, because presumably Rox doesn't exist anymore, since it was
Yeah.
their era before Roger's era, and now
Mm-hmm.
we're in the era that some people think might be Luffy's, some people think might be Blackbeard's, depending on who in the world you ask.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's just so interesting. And then Garp is like, no point worrying. They return, they'll be a threat, but events will find a way to surpass our imagination anyway. And that's another interesting statement because that makes it sound like rocks could return. So they're not, whatever they are isn't dead or non existent entirely. They just aren't like present.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and also, Events will find a way to surpass our imagination anyway, Garp says with a smile. Is he talking about Luffy? Is he talking about something else we don't even know about? Is he talking about
Who could say?
both?
Is he talking about both?
I don't
What is
know.
he talking
What is
about?
he talking about? And this is such a throwaway little thing in the middle of everything else. It's
Yeah.
honestly incredible. So then we cut to the empty throne,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which
Surely this throne will stay empty throughout this
surely
whole
this
arc.
stay. Well, yeah, I guess did we see Emu on the
Yeah,
throne?
we do. It's a little hard to see in the
It's
drawing,
hard
but
to
yeah.
see in the drawing. I wasn't sure if they were actually on the throne or if they were just standing in front of it. But there's an empty throne that no one has ever sat on in all the 200 years. It's a sign that we're all equal up here. Ignore the slaves under the floorboards. Um, and it's very, very interesting. I'll get more into this. I don't know, but this throne, there is no one king of the entire world, is an interesting statement.
hmm
Because my assumption is that maybe this emu is the king of the entire world.
Well maybe Emu is a female, so there's not a king, but there's a queen.
That's true, I suppose. But you also don't have Big Mom wanting to be queen of the pirates. She wanted to be king of
It's
the
yeah, no,
pirates.
I'm
So, and
I'm
you also
not
have
being
someone like
serious.
Roger, who was kind of king of the entire world, wasn't he? I mean,
hmm
king of the
Well,
pirates is sort of that
King of
kind
the
of position. King of the
Seas.
seas, but the whole world except for Marihua is the seas. And even that's still connected to the seas, you
Yeah,
know? So I think it's interesting that there's sort of this opposing king position to that of the king of the pirates, which is sort of
yeah,
what I read from this empty throne. And my assumption is that either someone other than Emu will eventually be sitting on this throne in a positive sense, or
hmm
that this throne is going to get obliterated,
Ah,
or
interesting.
both.
Yeah.
Um, there is a very non-zero chance that I could see some sort of like a gum gum pistol or something going right through this throne. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At some point. And then we get to the worst part of this arc,
Oh yeah, I
which is
forgot
when
about this.
Fucko shows back up, Charlos, who is count his lucky stars that Luffy is not here. Luffy only punched him last time. Luffy would have killed this guy, I think.
Yeah.
Seeing this, because they start to try and capture Shirahoshi to make her into a
Shirahoshi.
pet,
Yeah,
which is
Charlos wants
crazy
to
that even
enslave
at
Shirahoshi.
the Reverie they can do this shit.
hmm
And like there's no repercussions for them antagonizing a member of the like a attendee of the Reverie, which I think is
Yeah.
crazy. Cause like if you had like before there was somebody was talking about like like Wapple couldn't get attacked because if you attack me then everybody that's gonna turn into a shit show. But they literally tried to kidnap and enslave Shirahoshi in front of everybody and nothing happens. Like I mean nobody tries to do anything until another celestial dragon steps in,
hmm
except for Vivi and everything.
Yeah,
Cause
like no official
no
force
official
tries
force.
to
But I
snipe them.
especially love that Vivi, who has known Shirahoshi for 10 minutes maybe,
Yeah.
the Straw Hat she is ready to immediately fight against injustice
Right.
and does not care about the position. And same with Rebecca. Rebecca's ready to fight for Shirahoshi too.
hmm
Um, and then Leo actually tries to make a move because Leo's here on god duty. And then here he is.
Oh man,
One of
the
the
leopard
characters,
man.
the Leopard Man, and his best friend, the Giraffe, and also Stussy,
And also Sissy.
and the mysterious man in the mask, who I'm confounded by still. I am so interested in Rob Lucci.
Yeah.
I am so interested in Rob Lucci. Because, I don't know, he was so interesting before, and I feel like in this position, he is being taken to the extreme of what his character was before, right?
Right. hmm
Because Lucci's whole idea of dark justice from what I remember, was basically that he would do whatever the government told him was justice because it means that he gets to be violent and like hurt
Yeah,
people,
he just
right?
because he wants to.
Like he doesn't actually care about what is just or what's not just. He just cares about the fact that he gets to hurt people and that that's quote unquote justice, right?
Hmm. It is sanctioned by
And
the
it's
government.
and it's interesting that he's like it's been taken to this extreme where he's gone from like, oh, whatever the government says is my justice, to now like, if the gods tell me I have to punish someone, I'll do it with a smile.
Hmm.
And I think that's, I don't know, he's so interesting, and I want to see more of him. I want to see how he's changed because I feel like there's got to be something new to Rob Lucci
Right.
because I don't know, his presence feels way more imposing than it used to.
Hmm.
And part of that is just the all white, I think.
True. Yeah.
And like now he is this direct subservient to the gods, but not in like the slave sense, but he's more of this
No,
like
he is
willing servant
this
that
like enforcer.
this willing like enforcer who gleefully enacts God's judgment on these people is really
Hmm.
really interesting. And I'm curious to see how he is going to interact with Luffy in the future because I feel like there has got to be another clash between Luffy and Lucci.
Yeah.
Um, now that Luffy is more explicitly the enemy of the gods, and now that Lucci is more explicitly the wrathful hand of the gods. Um, and I don't know. I think they're so interesting. Also, Kaku is here.
Yeah, the giraffe man
The
is here.
giraffe man is here. He didn't turn into a giraffe though, which makes me sad.
Yeah,
It's a
because
good
I
thing
love
they.
giraffes.
I love giraffes. Giraffes are awesome. I'm tired of hearing it. Um, just because I think Kaku's funny, and it's crazy to me that Kaku is one of the only two that we've seen that are still here.
Right.
Like, there's no Khalifa, there's no Jabra, there's no Bluno,
Hmm.
there's no whatever the fuck the other guys' names are.
Yeah, the other losers.
And I guess Spandam is part of CP0, but he's not here right
Yeah.
now because there's other members that are not here right now. But
Hmm.
I don't know. It's strange to me that there's also members of CP0 that stay masked,
Right.
but yet Lucci and Kaku and Stussy show their faces to this crowd.
Hmm.
So like, what is the differentiation between someone like Rob Lucci and this mysterious masked man? Like, why are they in masks? Is it just to hide it from the audience? Is there a significance to that?
Hmm.
But I really want to see more of Lucci. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I feel like he is a thread that I want to pull on more than almost any other, and I
Hmm.
couldn't tell you why that thread has me so compelled, but I just think he's interesting because it's like he spouts all this stuff during this section, and I know that he doesn't believe any of it
Right.
because he's not that he doesn't like I don't think he believed when he says the celestial dragons are the gods who created this world. All of these people here are the kings of the lower realm. It is the natural order for gods to have whatever they desire. I don't know if he believes that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it at
I
least.
think that he believes that to the extent that it is an excuse for him to kick somebody in the face, which is what he does here.
Right.
And I don't know, I just want to see what's new with Lucci cuz he feels
He
like a new
feels
man.
different.
He feels different. He feels more intimidating, more imposing.
Hmm.
I don't know. He's a character that confounds me and I want to know more.
Very interesting.
And I also love that Vivi is not scared of this guy.
No,
I think it's really
she
interesting.
fucking walks right up to him.
Yeah, after he also another line from Lucci that I think is really interesting is gods are not bound by logic.
Right.
And Vivi is not intimidated, which I think it might be part of that sort of Straw Hat spirit, right?
Hmm.
Like the Straw Hats did not hesitate to challenge Lucci before.
Right.
And even though Vivi was not there at the time, I think she has that same drive to push back. And part of it might also be the fact that I don't know, she is a technically, if you really want to, get to the weeds of it, a descendant of one of the people that founded the world, so
Right.
sort of a celestial dragon. And so if he's
Hmm.
not striking his hand against a god, then he can't strike back against her.
Yeah.
Although it may be more that Lucci doesn't think he
I
needs to.
think, yeah,
But
I
like,
wouldn't, I
I
don't
think
think
there's
that they would
there
consider.
could be thematic things to that. Is more so what I'm
Right.
getting at. And I especially love Vivi getting to be this sort of like call
To
back to Neptune
to
of like
be,
this is not what
yeah,
humanity looks like.
yeah.
This is not what the surface looks like. The
As Neptune
real
starts to
people,
rage,
real humans do not act like this.
yeah, it's really good.
Um, and then we have and like even more evidence is like if Lucci really believed this shit, he would not stop fighting after Charlos gets his head caved in.
Hmm.
But instead he just sort of fades into the background. Um, and then we move into not this yet. Cover him up. Don't look at him. Well, I want to talk about the Don Quixote thing first. We get introduced
There's
to
just a certain guy with red hair on the screen,
yeah.
and it's
There's a certain red-haired man in the bottom corner of this
certain
page.
rat-haired man.
Like some guy who might have one arm. But we get reintroduced to the celestial dragon that I hated oh so long ago back in the Fishman Island flashback, who is revealed to be a Don Quixote.
Yeah,
And I think it is really interesting. He says specifically, it was the speech of the late Queen Otohime that gave me my humanity.
yeah, powerful.
Powerful. And that tied with what Vivi is saying about this is not humanity.
Hmm.
Is there is this divide, sort of with what Lucci is saying about the lower realm and the gods,
Yeah.
is that these celestial dragons are so caught up in their godhood that they're not even really human anymore.
Hmm.
And we saw that in Dofi's flashback of like
Right.
when Dofi's father was like, "I'm human. We're all human." He's like, "What?" They're all like, "What are you talking about?
You're a heretic.
You're a heretic. We're gods."
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that it takes a push for these people to see humanity again.
Hmm. And
And how
I mean, it's also cannot be overstated that this is another Don Quixote. This sort of seemingly this bloodline of Celestials seems
that
to have this streak in them of potential for good.
potential for good, and how Doflamingo is the odd one out.
Well, I mean, well, is he?
He enslaved a country.
Look, I'm not saying he's good, but he's at least not a celestial dragon.
He wanted to be.
Yeah, but he couldn't
They
anymore.
told him no. And so then he was like, okay, I'll just go enslave
And
people
so he became
outside.
a demon.
And so instead he became a demon. I don't know if that's better or worse.
They are at least tend to.
Compared to Mjosgard, his father, and Rocinante, he is
No.
not that
I'm
good.
not trying to say that he's good. I'm saying that these Don Quixotes seem to, for some reason, end up opposed to the ideals of the celestial dragons.
I would agree with that sentiment. Don
And it
Quixote, Doflamingo,
it
Nakama, when?
no. It's interesting with the way that this series tends to talk about like bloodlines
Bloodlines and
and
inherited will.
inherited wills, that we have this family line that seems of celestial dragons who seem to find themselves opposed to the celestial dragons.
Yeah, almost trending more towards the Nefertaris of Alabasta than to the other
Right.
celestial families.
Just
And then
interesting.
and then obviously less important, we cut to the five elders, the greatest power in the world,
Uh,
who are all, stanced up in their power, their hall of power, their important room. They're like,
mhm.
"What do you want? Why'd you come here? Given your standing, you have nothing to do with politics. We only arranged this on your request, and I appreciate that. There's a pirate I need to talk to you about."
Why is Shanks here?
What the fuck is Shanks doing here? What is red-haired Shanks doing here? What is going on?
What is going
What
on?
is going on? I think it's about time for the question again, isn't it?
Hey, okay, I don't think the audience has experienced this because we've tried to keep it under wraps anytime he's come up. But what the fuck is going on with
What the fuck is up with
Shanks?
Shanks? This is a question we try to avoid because every time Shanks gets brought up, we get into this like 30-minute spiral of repeating the same question of what the fuck is up with Shanks. So here we are, more
Here
than
we are.
ever. What the fuck is up with Shanks, right? Um,
Uh,
how did he get here? Why are the Celestial Dragons chill with making a meeting with an Emperor of the Sea? Which pirate does he want to talk about? Because I don't think that's an easy question to answer.
no,
Because
I believe this is where the rat-haired Shanks allegations came out
oh, and that he's like
because
a.
people thought that he think that he's like ratting on Luffy.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's talking
I
about Luffy.
also don't think that's the case. I would
I
assume it's Blackbeard
I would assume it's Blackbeard as well. That was my thoughts.
because he did the same thing with
It
Whitebeard,
is
with
like
where he had a meeting with Whitebeard to be like, we got to talk about
we got
this
to talk
guy.
about this guy. This guy's a big fucking problem. Um, but then why
But then
would
why is he
Shanks
talking to
why
the
would Shanks go to the
Gorosei?
elders? Why would he go to these guys about Blackbeard? What could Blackbeard possibly be preparing that Shanks is aware of that would involve going to the elders of all people? You'd think that Shanks would also not be on good terms with these guys.
Right.
Which I mean, I still sort of get that impression. They don't seem to be very fond of Shanks being here, and
But
they still arranged a meeting to talk with Shanks
Yep.
about without even knowing what it is that Shanks wants to talk to them about.
Right.
Um, there's a pirate I need to talk to you about. What the fuck? What kind of connections does this guy have? And how did he sneak in, man? He
How did
snuck
this
in.
is this is during the reverie.
During the reverie, red-haired Shanks, Emperor of the Sea, snuck
Just
into
snuck into
snuck into
Marijois.
Marihua into the Hall of Power in Pangaea Castle.
Yep.
Why is he here? How did he get here? Why does he have relations with the elders? Why is he going to them about Blackbeard and not I mean, I don't know who he would go to. I guess he was only on good terms with Whitebeard, right? Or
Yeah,
good-ish terms. I don't think
I
he's
don't
on
know.
I would imagine he's on worse terms with Kaido and Big Mom than he was with Whitebeard, is my assumption.
Mhm.
And I guess he can't really go to Luffy about it. But like, why the elder? Like, what is it that Blackbeard is planning? It's got to be something that Shanks thinks that Blackbeard is going to do or capable of doing that is bad news for everybody,
The
not just
world.
like the world as a whole, not just
Mhm.
pirates, right?
Right.
But then, like, what does
And
he have to
also
gain?
it still could be someone who isn't
It could
Blackbeard.
also be someone who
We're just
isn't
assuming
Blackbeard.
it's Blackbeard.
Like, it could be a pirate we don't know about. Maybe the guy with the eye patch, whoever they may be. It could
Maybe
be somebody else. It could be, I mean, maybe he is a rat. Maybe it is Luffy. You know, it could be, or like somebody on Roger's crew. Maybe he's here to talk about Buggy the fucking clown. You know? And also, it really puts Buggy into perspective, doesn't it?
right?
Of like, Buggy was
Buggy
childhood
was
friends with this guy,
at one point in time on equal
equal
standings
standing
as this
with
man.
Shanks, and now Buggy is the laughingstock joke of the emperors of, or the warlords of the
No,
sea.
no, he's not. We know that,
Yeah, well, we know that. That's what I'm saying.
but the
Meanwhile,
world doesn't
the
think
world
that.
doesn't know that. Meanwhile, Shanks is having secret meetings with the
With
the
the
elders
five elders, the
at
Gorosei.
the same time that Buggy is losing his giant pirates that he's
Yeah,
his only
that
claim to fame.
Hyrule is leaving Buggy's crew.
I just like I don't even know where to start with Shanks, man. I want to know so desperately what Shanks is thinking and doing and planning because I am so compelled by Shanks even though we've had such little amounts of time with him because he's so cool and he's still like there's still some Shanks there because it's I mean he was just 2 chapters ago looking at the wanted poster and saying, "Guess we're going to meet soon, Luffy." With a
Right.
smile and happiness. And like he's still got that light in seeing his captain sort of brought back with Monkey D. Luffy.
Mhm.
And like, what if this is all a long game or something from Roger, right? Like, what if this is all something that Roger set in motion and Shanks is just playing his part in the big picture?
Right.
And
Oh man.
what the fuck are the elders gonna do about it? Like, what are the elders? And like, I don't know, like, why? I don't know what to say. I don't like no. I can't, I wish I could give meaningful insight about this, but I just don't have anything. I have like a billion questions about Shanks and no answers.
and no answers.
Maybe he didn't even lose that arm. You know, what if any? What if nothing means anything? And even crazier is knowing that eventually, someday in the far-flung future, people are gonna read this for the first time and know what Shanks is doing
and know
here,
what he's talking
and
about.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about Shanks, or are we? Should I move on?
No, I mean, anything that I can say about Shanks, I can't say.
I guess.
So, what the fuck is up with red-haired Shanks? Is he rat-haired Shanks?
Moral of the story:
Who?
what the fuck is up with Shanks? Let's keep moving. There's one
Let's
chapter
keep
left.
moving.
There's one chapter left, and there's still more to see and more to do. We also learned that Manchery is here, which is so cute.
Yeah.
Um, and there's this look from BB also, because we learned that Cobra has gone to meet with Fujitora
Yeah.
uh to
Huh.
discuss with King Riku of Dressrosa, and it's told to us that Fujitora is the one who sent the letter that piqued Cobra's interest going here.
Oh yeah.
Which is also a crazy thing to just tell me, that Fujitora is facilitating a meeting between Cobra and Riku
Uh-huh.
to discuss something about the truth of the world, which is what Cobra's here to find out about, right?
Yeah.
So what the fuck does Fujitora know? Is he connecting them with somebody else, or does he have information that those two want to know? I don't
I
know.
don't know. I
And
don't
then
know.
you turn the page and we start to learn some more crazy shit,
Oh yeah, dude, I
because
totally forgot that Body is here.
yeah, well, excuse me, that is the Queen Dowager of Sorbet Kingdom, Connie.
Right, of
Who is
course.
Bonnie? I don't know who that is.
I don't know who this is.
Um, but she's trying to get into this gate, which is the gate that only the Celestial Dragons can enter.
Uh-huh.
And then stalled at the same time is Charlos coming back because he's injured, and his dad shows up riding on Warlord of the Sea,
Bartholomew
former revolutionary
Kuma.
officer and former king of the Sorbet Kingdom. That's new information.
Yep.
Bartholomew Kuma, the Tyrant. Or the Invincible Slave.
Yeah. His new epithet.
Um,
So,
hey, what the
what do you
fuck?
think's going on with Kuma?
Um,
What do you think's going on with Bonnie?
uh,
Why do you think that Bonnie is transformed into the queen of the Sorbet Kingdom?
um, fuck, dude, I don't fucking know.
Fuck,
Uh,
dude.
so, so immediate assumption, Jewelry Bonnie has some connection to Kuma.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear to see.
Some connection to Kuma. Maybe she's his daughter? Maybe granddaughter? Question mark?
Question mark?
Maybe just a friend? Is she actually the leader of Sorbet Kingdom, or was she just pretending?
I mean,
Maybe
we do know that her fruit lets her
age herself.
age herself or de-age
So
herself.
maybe Bonnie aged up, looks identical to the current ruler of Sorbet Kingdom. Also learning that Kuma is a member of the Sorbet was the leader of the Sorbet Kingdom.
Yep.
Um, and has been turned into this invincible slave. And you know, the only saving grace is knowing that, as far as we're aware, Kuma's not in there
Yeah.
anymore. So like, at least my only piece of saving grace is that maybe Kuma is not suffering.
Yeah.
And there's a very real chance that that is a wrong assumption.
That is not true that Kuma is in there.
And there is a very real possibility that Vegapunk did not get rid of Kuma, and that he is in there and he is suffering. And I don't know which of those is worse, Because on the one hand, one of those means that we can't get Kuma back, and the other one means that he's been suffering for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly care for either of them.
Mhm.
Um, so my assumption here is that the Celestial Dragons are just like torturing Kuma because he doesn't feel pain or whatever, and they think it's fun.
Yeah, just because they can.
Um, and that Bonnie also, similar to Shanks, has snuck into the Reverie.
Yeah.
Not quite as successfully as Shanks, but she hasn't been caught, so she's doing her best.
Mhm.
And she's made it into the Celestial Dragon Gate. I, you'll pay, I swear it, I swear it.
Also brings back into question: was that what she was talking
Was
about
that what she was talking about? Like, I can't
during
remember.
Marineford?
I can't remember if the stuff with Iva and Kuma was broadcast over the transponder
The
snails
Yeah.
during Marineford. I don't know. I could
I
have gone back and
I don't
checked
I
that.
don't I don't think that it's I don't think that it's not that that it's you don't remember. I don't think that it's I think it's that like it's unclear.
It's not explicitly stated what is heard, I guess, outside of the things we
Right.
see the people reacting to.
Yeah.
So it's very real that this could have been the revelation that Kuma is gone could be the thing that Bonnie is reacting to.
Mhm.
But then, Bonnie having some relation to Kuma raises all sorts of other questions. Does she have a connection with the Revolutionary Army?
Does
I would
she?
assume no, because it seems like that she is sneaking in here of her own volition and not without knowledge that the Revolutionary Army is sneaking in here at the same time.
Yeah. I guess
And
I guess that's fair because if they would probably let her know.
like, I feel like if she was working with the Revolution, she would be here with Sabo and not up there.
Right.
Unless, of course, part of the Revolution's plan is for Bonnie to sneak in that way.
True. Could be that.
But it seems to me like I don't know, my assumption is that she is acting independently
Mhm.
from the Revolution, at least for now. Um, but what is she trying to accomplish? Like, what is getting into the Celestial Dragons area do for her? Because I'm guessing that whatever is in there is not going to help turn Kuma back to normal. So what is she planning to do when she gets in there? Is she just going to go in there and like bomb the place or something? Or is she trying to find some important document? Maybe she's trying to find information similar to what Dofi knows about? I don't know.
Who knows?
Especially since, I don't know, I'm still under the assumption, and I think with the Revolution showing up here, I think it's important to remember the end of Dressrosa when Koala stole some sort of information from Dressrosa.
Yeah.
Information that CP0 looked for and did not find and were worried. They were like, well, the Revolution got to it first. That's not good.
Mhm.
What did the Revolution learn? And could
Who
whatever the Revolution had
knows?
learned be the reason why they're ready to declare war and sneak into the Reverie?
Yeah.
And I think, and they say it's the reason we're here is to get Kuma back with the Revolution.
Mhm.
Look what's being done to our comrade, to our kind-hearted Kuma. Ah! And then they describe this to us. Kuma's been victimized by the world government his entire life. It's because he was the king of an allied nation that they used Kuma as an example. That even the hardiest man will turn out like this if he should defy the gods. Huh.
Huh.
What the fuck did Kuma do way back when that they've been torturing him his entire life?
Uh-huh.
And my assumption, blackmailing him in some sort of way, because I don't see how else they would get him to do all these things.
Mhm.
Um, and the revolution is here presumably to get Kuma back and declare war on the Celestial Dragons.
Yeah.
We're not getting caught. We either succeed or we die. But then how does Bonnie fit into the picture?
Oh
You
man.
know?
Oh
Because,
man.
like, I don't know. If she was part of the revolution, why would she have been in Sabaody 2 years ago? You know?
Mhm.
Unless her being in Sabaody 2 years ago is how Kuma knew to come help us. But, like, I don't know if that's the case, and I don't know if I'm willing to make that as the call, because we don't even know that Bonnie knew we were in danger, right?
Yeah.
The only people we knew that probably knew we were in danger was like Law and Kid.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. There's so much
There's
here to
so
not have an
much.
answer to. And I think more than any of the many questions raised in this arc, I think the questions surrounding Kuma are the ones that I think are most likely to come up soon.
Yeah.
Because
Why?
I feel like it is impossible for Oda to just cut away from we're about to go declare war on the Celestial Dragons for us to go do all of Wano and not hear anything about that. I feel like that doesn't make I feel like that would be a really strange pacing decision from Oda
Yeah.
to have like the reverie has started and we know imminently in like seconds probably the revolution is about to declare war,
Hmm.
but let's go look at Wano for like a couple weeks of them being in Wano, and then we'll come back to this moment later. I just think it's gonna something's gonna happen, and I feel like it's somehow gonna tie into what's going on in Wano because there's the whole thing with Sakazuki and everything. But I don't know how.
Hmm.
But I think this
Interesting.
point of the revolution in Kuma is something that we will get an answer to faster than stuff like Rocks and stuff like Shanks and this shit that's about to happen.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know why. I just get the sense that this is a piece that is closer to the present, closer to being the present than everything else.
Interesting.
And then we get this whole little explanation about the reverie and that the reverie is about to start and that discussion has commenced. And then we cut to our last little scene where the five elders are walking along.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, Cobra desires an audience with us. And they describe that they decided to stay in the lower realm. In other words, they are traitors. Has he cottoned on to something? Let us pray it does not derail the talks. The world's equilibrium cannot be maintained forever. The time has come for a great cleansing. Chamber of Flowers. Great Emu. They have arrived. And we're in this Dark Souls ass boss room.
Yeah, right. It really is. This boss arena.
Like, it's like this is Melania's boss room, but it's nice in there and not
Yeah. There's
everything's
even like
not rotten.
the sword stuck into the ground.
There's like you have a bonfire in the center of this fucking room,
Yeah.
like, and Emu has a bunch of pictures torn up and shredded on the floor. One of Luffy, one of Blackbeard, one of Shirahoshi, in which the sword is being stuck into,
Mhm.
and Emu is walking into the room with the throne with a picture of Vivi.
Yeah.
I swear to God, Eiichiro Oda, if you do something to Vivi, I am never gonna forgive you. Um, and the elders looking up say, "Great Emu, the five elders are at your service." As Emu presumably sits upon the throne, it's really fucking small.
Yeah.
I cannot make it out. Have you decided upon another light to be erased from history? Simply state the name you wish stricken. And that's where we end
That
this
is
section.
the end of this section, y'all.
Um, what the fuck,
What
right?
the fuck?
I don't know what's going on here. There's so many questions. They can
You know what?
strike people from history, erase them from history? Has that happened to people before? Presumably. Who has it happened to?
Presumably.
Would we know about them? Is that what happened in the Void Century? Did they erase in 100 years of light?
Hmm.
And also,
How is that different than a Buster Call?
how is it different from a Buster Call, right?
Like what? Like
Um,
is it different? Is it just a Buster Call, or is this something different that they do when they erase a light from history?
what do you mean erase a light? My assumption is with that, which is slightly evidenced by Emu being shrouded in black and having red eyes, and all the slavery and stuff, is that maybe these gods aren't the good guys.
Whoa.
hot take, maybe these gods aren't so good.
Crazy
And
hot
so
take there, bud.
maybe back in the Void Century, these celestial dragons were like ultra evil, right?
Yeah.
And I mean they still are, but like they were like evil incarnate or whatever.
Mhm.
And that the D and whoever else, the allies of the D, maybe used the weapons and stuff to fight them. And then
And
though they
got
were light, and then they got erased from
erased.
history, and so that century doesn't exist. And maybe
Mhm.
that's why nobody knows what the D means.
Mm.
Is that whatever the D meant got stricken from history.
Yeah.
Which then begs the question, why these four?
Like I get the three.
I'm
We
which
have two
three?
D. We have two Ds and
Two
the
D's and a
and the
weapon.
Poseidon.
Two D's and a weapon. So presumably a weapon and then two people who can activate a weapon. Because my theory from Zoe is that we need
Yeah.
a person of the D for presumably the Pluton.
Mhm.
Um, but why Vivi? I swear to
I
God,
don't
if they erase Vivi from history,
know.
I'm done. It's over.
We're not reading anymore.
We're done. I'm gonna just go watch Alabasta on repeat forever and nothing else. Okay.
Oh my
If
god.
they erase Vivi from history, Luffy's got to go unerase her from history. You understand?
I
You
understand.
understand what I'm saying? They tried to threaten Robin with a Buster Call. We've dealt with, a smaller scale version of this before, right?
Oh man.
And like, I don't know, even still, not even just why Vivi, but why Vivi instead of Blackbeard or Luffy or Shirahoshi?
Yeah.
What is it about Vivi that is a bigger, presumably, threat to Emu than Blackbeard and Shirahoshi and Monkey D. Luffy? And maybe it's Emu being just like every other villain in this series, and they're underestimating the fuck out of Monkey D. Luffy.
So how do you think that emu relates to crocodile?
Uh, I think we're gonna have to wait until we know anything about this character before I can make crocodile connections. Although I
Oh
will
man.
say, the eyes are kind of like Eneru's, aren't they?
Are they?
Aren't they? Doesn't he have that same like look? Or am I
What?
just like imagining that? That's what I thought when I first saw the eyes. I was like, it's kind of like I thought Eneru had like a similar look with like the circle in it at one point. But I might just be making that up. No, he
I don't
has dot
remember that.
eyes. He
Yeah.
has dot eyes. I don't know, but I don't know. The eyes they remind me of something. They're different, you know?
Mhm.
There's something
Mhm.
about it. You don't see red eyes in this series very often.
The minks have red eyes when
Yeah,
they go
when they
Sulong.
go Sulong, I'm not sure that Emu is a mink. They could be an emu mink.
Hey.
Um, but like, what is this
You
person or
know,
thing?
you
To the
know
point that like
whose eyes look very similar.
whose eyes look very similar.
Give me one sec. I'll just do this full image
Because
even because
the eyes feel
because I looked
familiar,
up
but maybe I don't know.
because I looked up Eneru and it's not Eneru or NL, whatever you want to call them.
Eneru. I'm gonna say Eneru.
Look at those eyes on
Oh, it is
Dracul
Mihawk's
Mihawk,
eyes, but red.
but red.
That is so interesting.
Huh.
I'm not sure that I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say that this is Mihawk. I don't think that's the case.
I wouldn't think it's Mihawk, but maybe someone related to
Maybe an
Mihawk.
actual vampire? This is fucking Dracula?
It's Dracula. One Piece has just been a rewrite of Bram Stoker's Dracula this whole time.
And like whatever this emu is, because I
Hmm.
don't want to say like he or she or even they. I just want
Yeah,
to
It.
I don't want to say person because they could just not be a person. Could be a robot or
This
something.
this entity
That this thing,
thing.
this thing,
This
emu,
whatever
this emu,
whatever it is.
whatever emu is so grand that the elders, who in a
Mhm.
previous page when they met Shanks were described as the greatest power in the world by
Mhm.
Oda himself, kneel
Neo.
to this
Is
emu.
this is Emu the treasure of Marihua that Doflamingo was talking about? How would Doflamingo know about this person if it
Yeah.
is? Is it the Straw
Is it
Hat?
the Straw Hat? Why was Emu looking at the Straw Hat? Why did they tear up these other posters? And why did they stab the sword through Shirahoshi if they're bringing Vivi to this meeting? And then there's the whole thing about the elders calling the Nefertari family traitors.
Uh-huh.
I really hope Vivi's gonna be okay. I don't want anything bad to
I
happen to
just don't want
Vivi.
anything bad to happen to Vivi, man.
Maybe Crocodile will show up and save Vivi. You know?
You
He
know
could
what? That
protect
would be a
Vivi.
great full circle
That would be
moment.
a great full circle moment for Crocodile. Um, I don't. What is Emu? What are they? What is it? It has eyes. I guess I know it has eyes.
Yup.
That's all I know.
It has binocular vision.
It
I could say
has
that for
it has
sure.
at least two eyes.
Yeah, I guess it could have more.
And the Chamber of Flowers. And who
Why?
is this
What the?
and who is this person talking to Emu?
Yeah.
Great Emu, they have arrived. Who is this? Because they are not in this next shot.
Mm-mm.
But there's somebody else who is in communication with Emu,
Some
some handler
attendants
or
or
vassal
something.
or something. I'm just so perplexed. Ah, and why these four and no one else?
Well, is there anything else that you think you want to mention so we don't just sit here for another 30 minutes going, hmm.
There is one last thing I want to mention, yes.
Okay, all right.
A thing I have my very small list of notes
Oh
because
yeah.
something I've been meaning to mention for a while that I just keep forgetting to bring up. But let me scroll back to where I can see a shot of Monkey D. Luffy. Oh, but Luffy's all covered in bandages. I need to find a shot of Luffy from before, maybe. In the last arc. Is that
Okay.
I've noticed, and maybe, I don't know, it could just be an art style thing,
Mm-hmm.
but Luffy's scar has been getting bigger.
Has it?
The X is bigger. It's more pronounced than it was initially.
Hmm.
And I feel like there is something with the scar getting bigger. I just think it's
I mean,
strange.
you know, there's obviously the sort of symbolism of the X in relation to pirates.
Yeah, of like X marks the spot, and maybe, I don't know, the X is becoming more pronounced to show Luffy becoming more worthy of something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think that Oda would make a design change to the main character
Willy-nilly.
just accidentally.
Yeah.
You know, like he didn't, he still draws Sanji the same way. He still draws the other Straw Hats the same way.
Uh-huh.
But Luffy's scar keeps getting bigger. Especially, it's more noticeable than ever in Whole Cake. It's like a much thicker X. Whereas, like, if you go
Hmm.
back to Sabaody, like Return to Sabaody, it's very thin.
Huh.
Like this shot here,
I guess you're right, yeah.
like let me see if I can just for, I guess you guys can't see this, but I'm gonna, well, I don't have Return to Sabaody, but I can just pull up something like the earliest thing I've got.
Mhm.
But like even in Dressrosa, the X is like much thinner. Um, oh, but he's got.
Of course you pick Punk
Of course,
Hazard
I
where
picked
he's
Punk Hazard where he's got a shirt on the whole time. Um, Jesus. But like I don't know. I keep noticing it,
yeah,
and I am of the thought that there is some significance to it.
interesting.
I think that there is a reason why the scar is getting bigger.
Bigger.
but I don't know. I don't have an answer to
I
why.
don't know why.
I just know that it's getting bigger, and that I think that's going to be important somehow. Maybe it's him becoming more worthy of something, but then why would it manifest as the scar, right?
Hmm.
Because like it's not like he always had that. It's not like it was a birthmark or something. It was inflicted upon
Right.
him by Akainu
Hmm.
in Marineford. Yeah, like look here. You see how
Yeah, I
like
guess you're right.
thin it is there, and then cut to this, and like look at how thick it is.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like it's like way more of his chest is being covered by the scar.
Hmm.
Um, I don't have a lot of theories about it other than that I think it is symbolizing something that is going to be important eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that something that's going to be important is,
I mean, how could you?
and I don't really have any guesses to what it could be, but I want to say that I have noticed it in case it
All right.
becomes relevant in the future, and it's
Cool.
been bothering me for a while. Because I think I remembered back when we started Sabaody, I was surprised at how thin it was because I had remembered seeing pictures of Luffy and thinking that the scar was
Mm.
bigger than that. And
Yeah.
so I've been noticing that it keeps getting bigger every arc.
Hmm.
Um,
He's noticing.
and I don't think it's just an art style change from Oda because none of the other characters have had notable physical features change drastically
Hmm.
like Luffy's scar has,
Yeah.
pre or post time skip. Outside of
Hmm.
just like the general changing of the art style, and I don't think that really correlates with the scar changing.
Mm-mm. I wouldn't say so.
But I want to make it aware, make it be known that I am paying attention to that.
Interesting.
But to avoid getting lost in what's up with Shanks and Emu and Blackbeard and Bonnie and Kuma and the Revolution and everything else and Garp for the rest of time,
I think
uh,
we're
unless
gonna
there
end it
is unless
here.
there are any important things that I missed that you think you want my
I
opinion
mean,
on.
I think we touched on everything that I think I wanted your, thoughts on.
All
Not
right.
that you really have a lot of concrete thoughts on anything,
Yeah, I wish I could bring more concrete
because
thoughts to
how
the
could
table, but
you?
how could I? Um, so once again, thank you all for listening if you've made it this far.
Yeah.
If you have listened to an hour and 40 minutes of a man rambling about not understanding what's going on in One Piece, then you probably liked it, and you should like the video.
Mhm.
And maybe click the
Yeah.
subscribe button, and even the bell if you're feeling adventurous.
The next one will be way less rambly and convoluted.
I
We
would
will get
hope
back to
so
talking
anyway.
about themes and actual information rather than questions.
Yeah, I would like to hope that Wano is going to be a little more concrete than this. So, but if you
If
liked
if
it,
you
other
have
people like you
interesting
might like it.
theories, you could
So,
also put those in the comments.
oh yeah, if you have your own theories that are not spoilers to stuff I don't know about, please put them in the
Yeah,
comments. I'd love to see them after they've been checked to make sure that it wouldn't spoil me on anything.
right. Yeah, if you
Um,
put spoilers, I'll just delete the comment, so like it's not even worth putting it in there.
yeah. Also, if you put a
Um,
comment that makes Misfit here cry, we will put a heart on it.
yeah, as
That's
always.
a continued trend. So do all the YouTube things. This isn't your first YouTube video. You know how the YouTube things work.
If this is your first YouTube video, what are you doing?
If this is your first YouTube video, thanks for clicking on us of all
Yeah,
things.
yeah, really,
But
honestly, thank you so
also,
much.
how?
Go watch a Mr. Beast video or something.
I don't know. Go watch
That's the,
go watch
that's
Whole
on the
Cake Part
homepage.
2 or Whole Cake Part
Yeah,
1 instead. Whole Cake Part 2 was great. I had a lot of concrete stuff to say. Anyway,
yeah.
thank you all for
Anyway.
watching. It's been wonderful. Um what the fuck is going on with Shanks? And as always,
Oh, if we
cheers.
if we ever do merch, we
Oh,
should do a what the fuck is up with
what the fuck
Shanks
is up with
shirt.
Shanks? Yeah. As always,
Yes. Cheers.
cheers.